so we've got a new strong mayor system. Is that hampering the legislative process? Are we far enough into this term to understand how that's impacted the legislative work of the council?
I think you did a very beautiful illustration of the clerk's presentation around that approach.
Yeah, he does his own graphic design, I think.
Yeah, like instantly more complex. Throw a pyramid on there. But
is it that bad? As bad as the tweet?
No, there is some clarity that is starting to get shaped. There's some formality that's starting to get shaped. Being a new council member, it's like I don't actually have I actually worked on an ordinance as a contractor, and that's kind of my basis of understanding the legislative process. But when you're working at the staff level, you are coming in after the council action has already been done. The votes have been had, the majority was settled, and now we are moving forward with the direction of the body that they gave to the staff. Getting on council and getting upstream of that legislative process has been a very big learning opportunity, and that would be before mixing it up with executive mayor legislative council. And so there's kind of I like to think in things in spectrums. That's just how my brain processes complexity. On one end of the spectrum, you may have one council member who's got a very specific policy that they want to pursue, and they are introducing the concept to the institution. And they're bringing it forward because of a direct story that they heard on the campaign trail from one of their constituents, or maybe it's coming from some personal experience and background, but they want to use this opportunity as a policymaker to bring forward a new initiative. That's one flavor of the legislative process. Another flavor of the legislative process is staff has been working on an entire body of work. Maybe that was approved via a council action from a term or even 2 terms ago, and there might be some extra little tweak to an ordinance that needs to happen that staff has already prepared some language around, and they're just looking for an author to bring it forward so that the body can take action on it. That's kind of like the 2 extremes of something that's completely new and never been explored before by the institution, all the way through to the institution is actually leading the work, and they need a council member's, name and vote, and maybe whipping votes and support to champion that ordinance through. And I would say the version where staff has already been working on something, it's either been approved via previous council action or approved via, department leadership. That feels pretty similar right now. It's the other work that has the bigger change. Under the previous government structure, a council member could just go, I have an idea. Let me send an email to somebody at the staff level that I know that works on this in this area. And that could actually get the ball rolling for some legislation. What we're formalizing right now is council has kind of 3 tiers of how they can interact with staff. One tier is an individual member might just have a question. They just need to talk to a subject matter expert and get some clarification, get some data. They can email the department head, and the department head will kind of direct that to the right person to get you your answer. And if it's something that's, just a few hours to just go digging in and finding a file somewhere and sharing it and passing it along, a single council member can just make that request, no big deal. If it requires more than that level of effort, if it requires some research or some direct action, we have to actually move as a body. So we actually have to bring forward, either in committee or full council, the body has to take a vote. Is it appropriate to pursue this staff direction, to do this referral to staff to do some research? So that's kind of the big change, I would say. The institution still really runs on relationships. And, there's some growing pains, if you will, in terms of this new structure. It used to be that a constituent, the plows went by right after they paid for a snow shoveling service to clear out the sidewalk path to the street. They're elderly and they don't have the mobility to just go clear that out. Can you send a crew out to clear that out for me? That was a request that you used to be able to just like know the person in Public Works to get in touch with and just say, hey, can you get around to doing that? Now they really want you to formally go through the department head so that they can, prioritize the request accordingly. And so that's kind of been a growing pain. I suspect that that's going to have to evolve because I can't imagine a city of this size having to have every single request channeling through one person via email forward via 13 people on council. That seems like maybe not the best workflow, but I think that's kind of the direction that the institution is moving to, is kind of formalizing these types of requests so you don't have 13 random people with random requests putting staff, completely shaking up staff's work schedules as they have to reprioritize. Because as somebody who worked at the staff level in City Hall, it's pretty arresting to get an email from a council member. We think of ourselves as, we're just people, it's just a friendly email. But just the simple fact that you see from, and it's a council member, can get your cackles up a little bit. Oh, God, what did I do?
Probably depends who it is. If Elliot Payne is emailing me, I'm like, oh, look, it's Elliot Payne emailing me. If Lisa Goodman has emailed me, I'm like, what did I do? What's going on?
Hopefully I can establish that kind of reputation. Time will tell.
Yeah, you've got the kind of personality that makes people happy to receive an email from you.
Yeah, we'll see.
Are you finding yourself explaining to constituents at all, like our government structure works a little differently now? Are you shielding constituents from that reality?
I try to introduce it when it's relevant. It's not always relevant, especially if a lot of constituent calls are like, they're just happy to get in touch with a council member. Like, my favorite thing is actually like being the person that picks up the phone instead of somebody in my office. And because they're always like, oh, I didn't expect you would actually pick up the phone. And, a lot of those conversations are feedback or requests, no matter what the request is. I'm not going to be the one that physically executes the request. So oftentimes the answer is like, thank you. I will get in touch with the right person and I will follow up with you on what the next steps are. Right. They don't need to necessarily understand all of the machinery behind that. That's in some instances. In other instances, especially like police is such a sensitive issue right now. Sometimes you just have to ground people in, that is actually not within my purview as a council member. That is 100% within the purview of the mayor. And I will definitely share that feedback with the mayor. You know what I mean? So when it's appropriate, I try to raise that. But I don't try to, not everybody is paying attention to blogs about council meetings and live Twitter feeds of council meetings. A lot of people don't care about those details. That's so true. I try to not overwhelm them with it.
Don't care at all about Wedge Live. It's true.
I do. I care about Wedge Live.
Thank you. I'm going to clip that, and that's going in the commercial reel.
This is a real thing. Real thing. None of you have the balls to stop this. Stop this.
I've got plenty of time. I have nothing else going on today.
We're in the Wedge neighborhood right now.